coffee. Dog. Hi. Are you gonna stay with me? Okay. Hello friends, and welcome back to the DoSo Knits YouTube channel, my little corner of the internet where I share with you guys how knitting and other fiber crafts have interwoven into my life. So I hope you have something comfy to drink today, something to work on, and I'm going to talk to you about everything I've been working on. As I was saying that, I was thinking the phrase something comfy to drink is kind of an odd phrase. I guess a drink that brings you comfort is a comfy drink. So I'm still working on my morning coffee today. It's in this ceramic hand turned mug. I love handmade pottery, so this definitely brings me a little bit of comfort. And I'm excited to talk to you guys today about all of my knitting projects. I have some spinning to talk to you about, and yes, I'm reading as well, so let's dive into it. I did have a little admin at the beginning that I wanted to talk about. One, I'm back in front of my bookcase. I recorded last podcast in my chair, and I just feel more comfortable sitting on the floor. So we're gonna sit on the floor. I like being able to see the yarn in the background, and I don't know, I like sitting crisscross, and none of the chairs in here like really allow me to sit crisscross, so I'm just more comfortable. So I hope you're happy to see the bookcase back in the background. And then second, I wanted to say I'm going to move my acquisitions to podcast episodes. What I was doing with our year of Stash KAL, which if you don't know what that is, I'll pop a link up here in the doobly-doo. But if you're participating in the year of Stash KAL, and I've been doing separate videos for the end of month, like how much stash I use and how much stash you guys are using for the KAL. What happens with that is sometimes it messes up my podcast weekend schedule, and then because I want to do those the first weekend of the month. So long story short, I'm going to be moving those stats to the first podcasts of new months. So the next podcast will show the stats for whatever this month is, April. The next podcast episode will be the first one in May. So that one I will talk about my stats for April, your guys' stats for April. I will show the slideshow of all the projects you guys submitted for the year of Stash KAL that month. And that is when I will do the drawing for the random winner from April. So if you are watching those to get the details about like seeing what I did, or to see if you're a winner, if you're participating in the KAL, I'm moving that to the first podcast episodes of the month. So just so you know, I'm not doing separate videos anymore. I'm just kind of in a stage right now where doing a podcast episode every 2 weeks is it's kind of my cuppeth fulleth right now. It's just the phase of life that I'm in. So I'm just going to combine those, and I'm going to be moving back my yarn acquisitions into the ends of podcast episodes. So yeah, basically that's it. I'm just merging my stash stats videos into podcast episodes to make it easier on me just for this stage of life that I'm going through right now. Doing a podcast or a video edit every 2 weeks is a little more sustainable than one almost every week, which is how I started out the year. I just need to kind of move back to that every other week, once a fortnight kind of video schedule, and I will just be making probably just longer videos to accommodate for that. So I hope that's okay. I just need to do that. So thank you for understanding, and just make sure you check those out if you are participating in the knit along. But that should be all the admin, other than in the description box down below is the show notes for the episode. I link to my socials, Instagram, YouTube, and Ravelry. I have my Patreon down there, and I link to all my Ravelry project pages. I link to yarns that I talk about as well. So all of it's down there, tons of links for you to go check out, should take you anywhere you need to go. And yeah, let's dive into the things that I have finished over the last 2 weeks. Now, if you watched the last podcast episode, I'm sure you know that I went on a trip with my husband Shane. We went down to Albuquerque. I said travel knitting and going on a trip in that episode so many times. Like, it could be a drinking game. When I was editing it back, I was like, wow. Everything was revolving around that trip. But I ended up taking 3 projects on that trip with me, and I finished 2 of them. So I'm going to start with showing you what those are. So the first project that I'm showing you is my Musselburgh by Ysolda Teague, and I knit this for my husband Shane. And look at these colors. I've already posted this on my Instagram, so if you follow me there, I'm sure you've seen it. I made this for my husband Shane. He picked out the colors and he wears it. He looks nice in it. He really likes it. I think the colors are so bright and kind of crazy, but he likes it, so we'll go with what we have. The Musselburgh is one of his favorite hats. He told me that. If I want to make him a hat, this is the hat I probably should pick. And yeah, I knit this out of Desert Vista Dye Works Tweedy base, which I don't think is the base she normally carries, but this was the 2022 exclusive colorway for finishing the knit along, the Desert Vista Dye Works year-long knit along, where you get to knit a pair of socks or another project such as a hat that uses a good amount of your skein, and then you can enter it in for prizes, etc. I've always wanted to kind of do a Musselburgh for that knit along. However, I've always been a little scared that I wouldn't be able to finish it within a month. But this was the perfect travel project. I had started and finished the increases, because you start at the top and increase down, and then you just knit, and you actually knit double the length, and then you have your decreases. So I had started the increases and gotten to where it was in the round before we left. And then we had about a 6.5 to 7 hour car ride. I knit on this basically the whole drive down. I probably got, I think it was like 4 or 5 inches done during that car ride. And that might be just like I got to 5 inches. I don't know if they were actually all during that car ride, but it was great for the car ride. And then when we were out and about, if we were at a restaurant or, you know, when we went to something where I could pull out my knitting, this was the perfect project, because I could pull it out, work on it for a couple minutes if I needed to, or longer depending on how long we were at a place. And then I could just put it back into our backpack that we were carrying around with us. I'm really happy that I finished it so quickly. On the way back, basically got to the decreases, and then I put it away in the car, and I finished the decreases at home just because I didn't want to deal with decreasing in the car. But yeah, I knit the adult medium for him. It's on 3mm needles. That's the size I've done for all of my Musselburgh hats. I have some Addy square needles, which I really like for the Musselburgh. It's very comfortable. And then for the increases and decreases, I do magic loop on my Chiaogu interchangeables. It was just very comforting, and I think partly the stripes helped kind of chug along on this. You could actually see the progress. Plus I had a marker for where I started the trip at, which was basically the after the decreases or increases. And then I had a little marker that I moved up every single day. So it was really nice to be able to just kind of see the progress every day. I can definitely tell I'm a progress person. I need to see the progress I'm making for me to kind of feel the accomplishment sometimes, at least right now. But yeah, this was honestly so perfect. It's just stocking it around and around. You don't have to think about it, and he loves the hat. So I'll probably end up making a lot more. I really am feeling a little, not uneasy, but like I can feel the want for another Musselburgh on my needles. Sorry if you heard that sound, that was Ebony jumping up to get her food. But I think the stripes are really fun. I knit, so yeah, back to the size. I knit him the size medium, but Shane likes a slouchier hat, so I knit to the length of an adult large. Now I did measure this in the car, so I think it might be a little longer. It's a little too slouchy, I think, but I think a lot of that is the yarn, because my last Musselburgh, which was knit in Knit Picks palette, is basically the exact same length, and it doesn't slouch as much. But that one is a Peruvian Highland wool versus this is merino with cotton acrylic neps. And it's superwash merino. So it's a little more drapey, it's a little more slouchy. So I think next time when I make him one of these, if it's non-superwash, this is a really good length because it doesn't slouch as much. If I knit another superwash one, I'll probably do right in between the adult medium and the adult long length, which I think is like 18 or 20, so I'd probably knit to 19. Just, that's what I think. I mean, he still likes it. He doesn't care that it's too slouchy, and it's nice because this is long enough to where if he wants to fold up the brim, he can fold it up a good amount and still have a good, like, his head can be covered and it's still a nice fold, versus on another one I've made him, when he folds it up, the fold is really kind of small. But yeah, that's the Musselburgh. I'm really happy I finished this in less than half a month. It gives me confidence to be able to do another Musselburgh again, especially if it's a more focused project and I'm working on it more often. A lot of times in the past they've been like it's just there for me, I'm not constantly working on it, but I worked on that so often. I pulled it out so many times, it just felt like a nice comfort knit. And overall, I used 88 grams, which is a good, like, it feels really good to use a lot of a skein of yarn. And 88 grams in like half a month of fingering weight, yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. So then the next project that I took with me and finished on our trip was my Sophie Shawl by Petite Knit. And I started this project as part of the heirloom Romney cowl that Fancy Tiger Crafts is hosting, which is just a knit along using heirloom Romney, which is the yarn I used for this project. And here it is. I knit close to the size medium. I had debated in the last podcast kind of like if I was going to do the medium or the large size, because I originally set out to do the large. What I ended up deciding was there's instructions for the pattern for once you get halfway, you can start your decreases then once you're halfway through your yarn. So what I did is I finished one skein, and then once I started my second skein, started my decreases. I think I started my decreases probably 2 rounds later than I should have, because I don't know if you can see. Do you see how this one is a little fatter than this one? Because what happened was I knit this and I started decreasing, but you decrease like every so many rounds, and I was like, I'll just go to the next. Like I added 2 more rounds or so before I didn't start the decreases right away, is what I'm trying to say. And I got to the end of this the first time, knew I wasn't gonna have enough, so I started decreasing faster. And I had like 2 yards left, and I was like, well, this I want to use as much as I can. So I ripped it out and did the normal decrease for a little bit longer, then did the fast decrease and ran out before I finished. So then I found the happy medium where I ripped back, started the faster decrease at a good point, and I had about this much left. But it does make this one a little bit fatter in the end. Like this is like a little pointier versus this one. No one is gonna notice, like you guys know because I'm telling you. But it was funny because I actually worked on this a good amount every day at the Airbnb. We would usually come back around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Shane would take a nap. I would knit and watch some knitting podcasts. And it was really lovely. And I would work on this. And I was actually watching the Yarnia podcast. And they worked on their Sophie Shawl. And I think it was Kathleen or someone else talked about also having to change their decrease at the end. So I started decreasing around the size medium. And yeah, I think I was slightly past the size medium, but I was not anywhere near the size large. I'm sorry, I was on vacation and I was like, I finished my first skein, I'm gonna start decreasing, and I totally forgot to like write down how many stitches I had. But I think the size is really nice. This is kind of where it sits. It feels like I think it's a really good size. Easy to wear with a coat, or even just like with this long sleeve shirt on chillier days right now where it's not like, do I need a jacket? Do I not? The weather can't decide. I can't decide what to wear. But I really like this color, and especially with this brown, I think this looks really cute. I love the little variations in the Heirloom Romney. This is a worsted weight pattern, so it knits up very quickly. But again, like on this pattern, when I was knitting it every day, I had like a stitch marker sitting on the shawl. So as I was working on it every day, I could see how much progress I was making. And this grows so fast. That's why it feels like even once the rows are longer, like I think like your max stitch count isn't even above like 70 stitches. It goes so quickly. And once I got it off my needles, I was very much considering starting another Sophie shawl. I ended up starting a different shawl, which I will show you, but I will be making many, many, many more of these, I think. It does take a little bit of focus. I still use my row counter. I was using a yarn marker as well to kind of count the garter rows between increases, but I just like having my row counter. It makes it easy. It's not that like cumbersome for me to pull out my row counter because it's just an app on my phone and I always have it with me. And if anything, having the row counter app open means I'm less likely to like grab my phone and start scrolling on Instagram or something else, and I can get a lot done. But yeah, I really, really like this shawl. It's a scarf. It's a shawl scarf. But I think the colors are really pretty. And the Heirloom Romney, to me, is not scratchy. I know to my friend Bethany, the friend and coworker Bethany, she finds it kind of scratchy, like has to wear something under it. But I think it's really lovely. So yeah, and it's not too heavy. It feels really nice. And yeah, I would say if you want to do like the halfway through your yarn thing, when you start your decreases, maybe start at like 45% of your yarn, because I ran out. And I'm pretty sure my second skein weighed a little more than my first skein, so I would say maybe just start the decreases around that 45% mark, not exactly at halfway. Maybe that will help with the like making sure you have enough for your decreases. Yeah. So then the last finished object I have to show you, I did not finish within the last 2 weeks, but the pattern has released in the last 2 weeks, and if you are on my Instagram, you've probably seen it. But this is the Brioche Pup Sweater by Stephen West. This was the secret test knit that I was working on. The pattern is now out, so I can show you, and this is the little sweater. Now for this sweater, it's DK weight. I used a whatever size needle was recommended in the pattern. I did a size 4 cast on for Sherlock. Sherlock is my dog. Because I originally did the size 3 cast on and I didn't think it was going to fit over his head. Now he's worn this sweater a good amount and I think he could do a size 3 neck. I just was like, I think it was because I was like holding you know, the I cord, and I was trying to get it over his head, and it was still kind of on the needles, and he wasn't happy to play with that. So, but I think it's also the I cord isn't super stretchy, so maybe if I had a stretchier bind on, it might fit him, because it sits really low. Anyway, so I started with the size 4, but then I increased the chest to size 3. I did the little sleeves, and then it's all brioche, and it has this really cute like center panel, and then the little sleeves going outward, and then at the bottom is garter stitch short rows to kind of like make the back longer on the dog than the bottom, which is really cute. So this sweater I knit completely with scrap yarn. It's all DK scraps that I have, and I was surprised I have so much green. I guess green is something I gravitate toward. But the dark green is, they're all on my project page with the exact amount that I used. But this was like this was the leftover from the hat I did for my brother. The other one, this is mermaid fiber bubblegum. I did socks out of that. And then I ran out of that contrast color, so I switched to this blue, which this is leftovers from a hat I made chain from yarn that I got from Stephen and Penelope. And then I switched to the garter stitch section. This is Nerd String, now Salty Blonde Fiber, all of my love in the Tweety base. But yeah, Sherlock really likes wearing sweaters, and he looks really cute in them. And the thing is like, we'll leave him in them, and like clothes or pajamas that he has, and he won't complain. And I think he almost sleeps more in them. I think he feels very comfortable. The only thing with this sweater is, since it's brioche, Sherlock really can nag things, and brioche is just kind of loose, and so like, we think it's when he's scratching, he gets it stuck, and he'll like pull a string out. So then I have to go back and like, you know, feed it back in with a tapestry needle, and I haven't done it yet with this one. It's not hard, it's just more tedious because it happens basically every time we leave him in it. So this is a walking only sweater, because Sherlock likes to pull out strings. But Stephen West came out with his like West Knits Best Knits like dog sweater book, and I plan to make more sweaters for Sherlock out of it. I'm so excited. I think there'll be so many cute ones, and a non-brioche one will snag less, because I've made him another sweater and it doesn't snag. So I think it's really just because brioche is so loose, like it's so easy to just like grab a stitch and like I can pull that. Like I did that without even trying. So, and Sherlock's a dog and he doesn't know, and he just wants to sleep and wear a sweater. So that's the little sweater. Oh, and then the I-cords I did in leftover Let Lopey. Anyway, I think it's so cute, and he looks really cute in it. I think he likes to wear it. But the next dog sweater I'll knit him, I'm probably going to try to start with the size 3 instead of starting with the size 4. Because I think it will fit him. And like I'll maybe knit to the arms and then see. But yeah, it was honestly so fast. I would compare like a dog sweater that size for Sherlock close to like a hat. It goes so quickly, and it was really fun to see it grow. And now that I like know his measurements, that was the only thing that would slow me down, is I would stop and try it on Sherlock to make sure it would fit him. But now I really have his measurements, and in the project page I have all the finished measurements listed out. But Sherlock's about a 20-inch chest, so he was right between the size 3 and 4, and I think he likes a little snugger of a fit, and I'm knit loosely, so if I knit the slightly smaller, it comes out closer to his finished size. But yeah, that is that finished sweater. I'm excited that I can show it, and it was exciting to post Sherlock on my knitting feed because Sherlock has his own Instagram, but I like when he can appear on the knitting one as well. But yeah, that is that finished object. The last finished thing that I have isn't really knitting, but it is my spinning. I finally plied up my Nest Fiber Club and got some skeins out of it. This is my notes, and I haven't done great notes, but it's the Nest Fiber Club from February 2023. I need to take a photo and get it on my Ravelry. It was this really pretty like pinks with some purple and some blue in there. But this was a base that I really struggled to spin. It is definitely not the prettiest skein of yarn. I did a fractal spin and I really liked watching the colors change with it, but you can really see like places like this where on that ply I really struggled to get the twist in the yarn. And then like here, like these plies down here seem a little better, but I definitely have bits where one ply is a lot more twisted than the other, and my perfectionist self is like, this isn't a great skein of hand spun. Like, it's not great, even though like it's handmade. I literally took wool roving and spun it on a wheel and made yarn. Like, I could knit with this. It's not unusable. I just want to get better. Which I think is a good goal to have, and I'm trying not to be bummed out. I'm not bummed out. I'm not bummed out at all. I can just see room for improvement. And I went into this was a new base. I cannot remember what it is. Let me look it up. You go to your Ravelry and you go to your stash, and then you go to your fiber stash, and then Kristen has all these photos so you can see. Oh, this was actually the January Fiber Club. It was Polworth. It was 100% Polworth. And for this, I found I had to go on a very, very fast treadle to get all the twist in. And I was just so inconsistent with like the thickness I was spinning, and it was just all a learning curve in general. There's definitely some over twisting in here. And sometimes I get kind of impatient when I'm spinning, and I'm trying to get out of that, where I will get to a point where I'm just like, I just want to finish this bobbin so that I can ply it together and I can have finished yarn. And then I'm like rushing, and it's just like, Kristen, it's fine. Just like relax into the spin. We're still getting there. But what this ended up coming out as was an 11 wraps per inch DK, which is crazy because I was spinning it on such a fast treadle speed on my reel. Like, it was so fast. I had to go into, because I have a Lendrum, and there's like the normal one, and then there's like the faster ratio, and I had to go on the fast flyer. I don't know. The DK is great. It's definitely not my colors, but I could see this, especially in the pressed flowers hat. I think putting this in a pressed flowers hat for like my mom would be really cute, or for anyone really. The colors definitely remind me of flowers. And I am proud of it. And I know once I knit it up, all the inconsistencies you won't see as much, and I'm just hyper focused on them. But it was a 2-ply fractal spin. But then I must have not split down the middle very well, because I had this much left. And so with the remainder of a bobbin, I did a 3-ply chain ply, which ends up being a 3-ply. And this is a little more round. I have not weighed this, but I think it's probably a DK, maybe a worsted. I'm still kind of figuring out my chain ply. At first I thought I was over twisting it, but looking at it now, I think it's pretty even and pretty smooth. I'm really proud of this. I really like this. So with the chain ply, this is more like gradient and versus this being a little more barber pole. But yeah, so I finally plied these. I let them rest for a very long time because I knew it was over twisted and I just wasn't in a place to ply them yet. But now these are done. I need to take photos and yeah. It's roughly 258 meters, the big skein. Yeah, I am pretty proud of it. I just don't know if Polworth is my favorite fiber right now. But that's okay. I'm still experimenting. I will say, of the fibers I've spun Corriedale, plain merino. The New Bay was plain merino. And I've done the Polworth, and I started working on my merino silk. I will say my least favorite has been the merino silk because the silk bits are very slippery and I do not feel like I can get a consistent draft in that at all. I actually stopped halfway through that spin and did a chain ply because I just wasn't super happy with what was happening. I need to wash it and I'll probably show it next time. Polworth is probably my second to least favorite, and my favorites have been the plain merino. I really enjoyed spinning. That's probably been my favorite, and the Corriedale is my second right now, but that's probably just because that Corriedale was the first like spin that I've done, and I have some more Corriedale that I'd like to spin, and going back to it, I think I might have a different experience. But yeah. If you have any tips for spinning merino silk blends, please let me know, because when I get to those chunks of silk, I'm just not happy with what happens. Anyway, that's all the finished things that I have. So let's move into works in progress. So I have cast on a few more projects since our last episode, but that was because I finished 2 of the 3 things that I was working on, so I needed to replace those things on my needles. I'm finding 3 projects to be a really good place for me to sit with my number of whips. It makes these episodes not too long. Like, I had 3 finished objects to show you today and 3 works in progress, which is a good amount of content. But also, like, I can make sure I'm focusing and they're hitting all the points where it's like, this one's mindless, this one's a little more focused, but like easy to pick up. Maybe isn't good for going out. So I just feel like it's hitting all those things. Although I do feel like something is slightly missing right now. I think it's something like my Musselburgh that is both mindless and for the go. I'm kind of missing that right now. But I do have emergency car knitting in the cars that I can kind of pull to do that. And what that is those are just socks that kind of live in the car in case we're ever out and about and I need a project that's mindless. So maybe one of those will kind of come back into the rotation, or I just won't take one of these main projects when we go out and about and I can just work on that emergency car knitting because that's why it's there. But anyway, the first project that I want to show you is I started it because I finished this. I kind of told myself once I finished this shawl, I could cast on my Vertices Unite by Stephen West. This is a project that I've knit 2 times before. I've knit one for my stepsister and I've knit one for myself, and I am knitting another. It is a 5 skein fingering weight shawl, and I am using a Fadient set from Stranded Dye Works. It is the Tabby Cat Fadient, Orange Tabby Fadient. It's 5 skeins, and I'm very excited about it. I've had this fade set in my stash since I really started getting into podcast and hand dyes. I bought it in Germany, but I didn't know what to make with it, so I'm excited to be using this. But this is where I'm at so far. I like green, if you can't tell. So this is actually 2 different colors I'm holding together. Maybe if I get close enough, you can kind of see. It is a fade set, so they do kind of blend, which I am not mad about. I like that this big section, section 1, is really one of the biggest sections in the shawl, which is what I'm working on. I like that they kind of go together. So these are the 2 colors I'm using for this section. This is color 5 and this is color 4 from the set, but they're both just shades of green. And that's how they kind of combine together. So I'm doing this as section 1, these 2 greens, and then these are the remaining colors in 1, 2, 3 order. So what I'm trying to decide is section 2 you stripe, and then section 3 is like a big section where that color kind of stands alone on its own, and you don't really use it anywhere. I don't think you use that color anywhere else in the shawl. So I'm trying to decide, do I stripe these 2 together and have this as the main alone skein, because this is really pretty, but I also really like this like orangey brown. So do I stripe these 2 together and then this is section 3 alone? That would then like end up making, this one will have like a small alone section. I've already decided that no matter which direction it goes, but then I could end up striping these 2 or these 2, which I do like, and then whichever green doesn't get striped will have a lone section. Or, so it'll be, like, these are the permutations. These will be striped, and then this will be striped with a green, or these will be striped, and then this orange will get striped with the green. Probably that one. What do you think? I kind of like the idea of this one being alone, but this one's a little more neutral. I don't have to decide right now. I have quite a bit to go on this first section. It is fingering weight on US 4 needles, and I'm past a third of the increases. So I have this little marker here this is 30 stitches on my needles so that I don't have to count. But I have quite a ways to go before I even start section 2. Part of me is thinking I'll probably stripe these 2 early, and then this one can get striped with this, and then this one can be alone. I don't know, it's nice because all the colors correlate and I can really just kind of play. And then this will be the I-cord border around the outside, which is kind of fun. But yeah, it's just garter stitch with some increases right now. That's the nice thing about this shawl, that you can kind of see some of the color difference, some of the striping. I like it because you can kind of see the striping in the right light, but otherwise it's just this like really pretty green section. But yeah, it's all garter stitch. It just feels like a comfort knit to me right now. I have no timeline with this, and honestly I kind of see it as like maybe as a long-term project, just something to come back to. Maybe I'll start something else and this can be kind of in the background for like when I'm feeling stressed out or just needing something that doesn't take too much focus, but enough to like, it's enough focus to like ground me of like, I need to increase every so many rounds and I need to switch colors every so often, so I have to like focus on the project. But it's also meditative, and as you can see, I put a marker here to see my growth because I need to see the growth. So I don't know, something else might be hopping onto my needles, and this might just kind of sit in the background, be like, I'm here for you when you need me kind of project. That is my Vertices Unite. It's something I keep coming back to. The first one that I made for my stepsister was in worsted weight because there's two sizes. There's a small and a large. I'm doing the large for this, and the other fingering weight one I've done is also a large. But when I did it for my stepsister, I did it with worsted weight, wool of the Andes actually, and I did the small size, and it came out to be roughly around the large, and so that goes very quickly. If you do the small and worsted weight, so fast, so fast. But yeah, that is my Vertices Unite. I really like it. Brings a lot of comfort. So then the next thing I started, this felt very spur of the moment. I don't know. Last episode I was not in a sock mood at all. My sock mood is coming back. I can feel it sitting in the background being like, hi, you want to knit some socks? So I did cast on a pair of socks. So these are the Coffee Talk socks by Tracy Miller. She's of the Grocery Girls. If you don't watch them, I highly suggest it. They're perfect for like sitting and knitting or just keeping you company. I really enjoy their company. So I started a pair of these with this skein of yarn. And this is Ex Libris Fibers Soul Knit in the color Withering Heights. I won this from a giveaway from Hookah Canyon's patron like last year. And the colors really just reminded me of spring. It's like a light green with like, it's like really painterly bits of green and purple and blue, and I really like it. And it just reminded me of flowers, and it's spring, kind of, if the weather can think about it. And then this is some Porter Wool Company in a purple color. This is one of my row 1 minis, and I just thought it paired, ooh, let's not get our yarn in our coffee. Thought it paired really well. This color just does not show up on camera. When I posted it on my Instagram, and now it just doesn't do justice. But I thought this like lightly speckled yarn would look really nice with the simple texture pattern of Coffee Talk. I've not knit this pattern before, and I wanted something that had a little stitch pattern but wouldn't be too much, you know, not cabling, not something of like twisting stitches or picking things up. It's just a knit purl texture. I've knit the Coffee Talk hat, and I think it's really cute. So that's kind of the texture. This is the stitch marker that came with the yarn. I think it's really pretty. It has this reverse stockinette panel on the front on each side, and then the texture there. And then this is the heel, the contrasting. There's that. And that's what it looks like. And now this is a square heel. This is a heel I've never done before. But do you see how it's a total square? Normally my heel turns are like triangles, but these are straight up and down, and it's so fun. And it does look a little funny like this, but it fits nicely. And so yeah, if you can tell, I'm doing shorty socks. So I did 10 rounds of 2x2 ribbing, 10 rounds of the pattern before doing the heel, flap, and gusset. I'm just feeling the need because as we are getting warmer, Shane and I both need more short socks, which was a trend last year as well. And of course I don't knit short socks when it's cold. I knit them when once it's warm so that we just wear them right away. There's no waiting. But yeah, I really like this texture. This is another one, I can kind of read it, but I use my row counter app to just make sure that I'm doing it all right. There is like one mistake in here where I didn't do the repeat completely correctly, but no one's gonna look at my socks that closely. And yeah, I think you can really see how beautiful the speckles are on the bottom of the foot, but they play really nicely on the top. So since I'm doing shorties and I have small feet, I know I'll have a good amount of this left over. So I'm thinking I may once I finish these socks, I may just start another pair of shorty socks for Shane out of them and just kind of keep the sock ball rolling. I just want to knit socks, and I put it in this Mountain State Stitches bag with the cork bottom, and it also has flowers. So I'm channeling spring. I want springy socks, and I want pretty flowers. I want flowers in my house. I want flowers outside. I just want the weather to know that it's spring. And then we get this like weird freezy rain thing. And it's just like, can we decide? Can we please be spring? I just want spring. And I don't even like super warm weather. I just want more sunshine in my days. Anyway, so this brings me to my last work in progress. And this is my festival sweater, My Size by Petite Knit. I am knitting the size large, which is a 44-inch bust, but with my gauge, I should be getting closer to a 48.7 bust. I'm using Knit Picks palette in the color Marble Heather. It looks like this because there's two skeins together, and I ripped something out, so this is all the ripped out yarn. And then I'm holding it with my Natural Merino yarn in white. It's a DK weight pattern. That's why I'm holding fingering weight double. And here is my progress. I kind of stopped halfway through a round so you could see the front. That's a lot of progress since last time. I think last time I was just past either the first or second bobble round. And this is where I'm at. So I've split for the sleeves, as you can see. And I've started working on the body. And what I've done is I actually split for the sleeves a little later, and then I tried it on, and I tried it on before I split for the sleeves, and I just thought I needed more length, so I kept knitting. I think I knit to 9.5 inches, which was the length recommended for the bigger size that I'm shooting for, but then I ended up ripping back to 9 inches before I split for the sleeves. And I think it fits my arm a lot better. I think I have slightly shallow arms. But I also have added bust starts. So I split for sleeves and added for bust starts in this stripe. So you can see this stripe on the front. I made it on the front look the same as all the other stripes. But on the back, and it's a little hard to see because it's a little bunched up. On the back, do you see how this bottom stripe is closer? And it's because I added 10 rows on the front for bust starts. So, would this bother some people? Probably. Is it going to bother me? I don't think so. Is it a little funky right now? Like, it does look a little weird that this is close, but I think once I add in the next one and I get a more length, it's gonna look okay. I would rather my sweater not ride up in the front and have a slightly shorter like stripe in the back, and the front stripe looks fine. So that's really, like, people are gonna look at it from the front and like maybe it looks a little weird that that stripe is a little shorter in the back, but I'm not too bothered with it right now. And if anything, I'll rip it back and figure something else out. But yeah, split for the sleeves, worked on the body. I am on ball 5 and 6 of my main color for the body right now. So since I'm holding it together, I used 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and I'm on 5 and 6. And I only have 3 more skeins. So I'm definitely going to have to order some yarn from Knit Picks. But I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to knit to the next stripe, not do the bobble round. I might do the bobble round, we'll see. I'm going to knit to the next bobble round, and then I'm going to move over to my sleeves. And then I can get a better gauge of how much yarn I might need to order, because I really would like to not order too much. Although the Knit Picks palette, it makes great like Musselburghs, and I've really enjoyed it so far. So the Knit Picks palette is 100% Peruvian Highland wool, non-superwash, holding it double, so it's fingering weight normally, and I really like it. These bobble rounds are really fun. They do take a good amount of time, but it gives me something to strive to, and I think the overall effect looks really, really cute. So I'm really enjoying this. It's feeling like a comfort knit, and now that I'm more split for the sleeves, bust darts are done, it's around and around and around for the body, and I'm excited to get the sleeves going because I feel like that's when things start to really feel like a sweater. And I like kind of doing like a little bit of the body going to a sleeve. Maybe I'll go back to the body and then I'll do the other sleeve, because I think on my last sweater where I did both the sleeves and then I went back to the body, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many more stitches. Right now I'm still living in that, oh, it's so nice that I've split for sleeves, because I think each sleeve was like 70 to 80 stitches. So overall, my like body circumference stitch count has gone down by like 160-ish stitches. So I feel like I'm going so fast now, because those final rounds of the yoke are very, very long. But it feels so nice to get those on hold so then your body can fly. But going to a sleeve and then going back to the body, it's like, oh, it's so much longer. It'll be fine. So I'm excited to work on that. I really would like to get it, I'd like to get it off my needles fairly quickly, just because as it's moving to spring, there are so many spring knits that I want to cast on. And I'll talk about it a little bit with my acquisitions. But yeah, so many spring tops are calling to me, and I've never really knit a ton of spring tops. I think I've done one wrap shirt, which I did last year. I've done a couple of riffs, which is a short sleeve shirt by Jacqueline C. Slack, and then I've done one Petal Party crop by Samantha Guerin, which I need to lengthen because I made it very, very cropped. So I'm just like really feeling some short sleeve knits, and I gotta start them now so that I can wear them when it's still warm. If I take too long, it won't be warm anymore, because they're all like sport to fingering sport or DK, so they're not gonna go super, super fast. So anyway, I am going to change my camera battery because it is going to die, because I am extremely chatty today, and then we will get into acquisitions. Now, we went on our trip to Albuquerque, you know, and I went to this yarn store called The Yarn Store at Nob Hill. It was like the only yarn store I could find in Albuquerque. There were a few more in Santa Fe, which we had to drive past to get to Albuquerque, but we didn't really stop there. And then the one day we were in Santa Fe, it was like the day all the yarn stores were closed. So went to one yarn store on the trip, and I picked up a few things. So Crayabea, Rebecca Clow, came out with the corn cardigan while we were in Albuquerque, and I've seen her teasing it, and I really want to make one. So that was kind of what I was shopping for when I was at the yarn store. And so I looked at a lot of different things, and there were some beautiful, beautiful bases. And I'm sorry, I was totally like in the moment of like shopping, and I totally did not record or take photos of this store at all. But we walked in, and the owner was really nice and greeted us. It was nice because she organized everything by weight, and it kind of went into the back room. It had tons of different options, a lot of yarns I've never seen before. There was a good discount section with lots of different things. Whole section of like locally dyed yarns and roving, and she had fiber and lots of buttons, and it was cute because she has some cats that kind of hang out in the store with her, and the cats really enjoyed being with Shane, but then the cat was like coming to me and wanted me to pet it, and I was like, he is loving to spend time with you. I'm yarn shopping, so please go spend time with Shane. I felt bad because I wasn't giving the cat enough attention. But what I ended up settling on is a base that I've used before, but I really like seeing the color in person. And so I got some Patagonia Organic Merino. It's a woolen spun sport weight, although on the label it says 3, which is like DK, but it's 100% merino. Organic merino in the name. 100 grams, 382 yards. I got 3 skeins of the colorway Wasabi. And I originally was going to do this to make the corn cardigan, but now, I don't know. It's slightly lighter than the yarn she recommends in the pattern, so I don't know if I'm going to hit gauge. If I don't hit gauge, I'm probably going to use this to make her Tulsa tee, which is coming out in May, and it's just a raglan t-shirt, and I want it so bad. And since this is woolen spun, I think it'll be really light and airy. And yeah, so I really like that color. I like green. Other things that I got in the store is I picked up these Lantern Moon cable needles. They're ebony wood cable needles. I don't have many cable needles. Usually I will cable without a cable needle, but these ones are straight, which I really like. I think it'll be good for picking up stitches, and I have thoughts of wanting to do a like very cabled sweater or cardigan later in the year. So I saw these, I wanted to pick them up. They feel really nice. So if anything, the aesthetic is nice, but I will definitely use them. And I like that they're listed as US 3, US 6, and a US 8. So you can kind of coordinate it with a project. And the ebony is really smooth. Like, I don't feel any catches on these at all. They feel really, really nice. So I grabbed these. I'm excited to try them out. I will have to do something cabled with some advanced cables so that I feel like I have to use a cable needle. Because if it's 4 or less of a cable, I wouldn't use a cable needle. After 4 is when I start getting a little more like, maybe I need a cable needle. Stitches, that is 4 stitches. And she also had some fiber. And so this is some locally dyed fiber from Albuquerque. The dyer is Zia Wools. And this is the colorway I picked out. It just reminds me of a beautiful sunset. Orange and blues and purples and some greens. Like, I think this looks beautiful. She had so many different bases, this dyer, but I picked the 100% Corriedale. 4 ounces, so I'll get a good skein out of this, and I think it's beautiful. So I'm excited to spin this. And that'll kind of lead me into I got my next Nest Fiber Club, and so this is Spring Ahead, and it's Falkland. So I'm excited to try this. I like that Nest is giving me so many different fiber bases to try, because last month was a BFL, this month is Falkland, the month before was Polworth. So I feel like I'm getting a nice like sampling of all these different bases for me to like figure out what I like and what I don't like, which ones are my favorite. I need to take slightly better notes in my spinning notes in Ravelry. It was really just I need to take some notes on that Polworth one that I finished with while my brain is still slightly fresh. But yeah, I feel like even like these two could complement each other. Like this is a little more orange, but there is like the purple and greens in this, and there is some orange to where these could go together almost. So maybe I'll do like a combination spin or something. I don't know. My desire for spinning is definitely coming back. I would like to, because I've heard like Casey of Young Knits mention it, just like trying to do it every day. And I would like to try to find a time in my day where I can try to pull it out and work on it at the same time. If you spin, how do you kind of incorporate it into your day? I'd like to know. But yeah, otherwise, I do have a few more acquisitions. I know I'm trying to use stash this year, and I've definitely like moved some stash down. I've moved some things out. Came into the month with 25 skeins less. And this one's kind of a trade. So I had some West Yorkshire Spinners, the Croft Aran, in my stash that I had gotten when we went on a trip to Ireland. Now, this is green, I understand, but Shane picked this color. I had that yarn to make a sweater for Shane, and we like kind of we went on Ravelry. I showed him like what that speckly kind of colorway would look like knit up, and I wasn't really feeling it, and then once I showed him, he wasn't really feeling it. So essentially what I did is I ordered some of this from Wool Warehouse. I destashed the colorway neither of us were a fan of and got a different colorway of the same base. So this is Aran weight yarn. It is green. Aran weight, 100% Shetland wool, 100 grams and 182 yards. So I got a sweater quantity of this for Shane. I think I had said, like, I don't know what to cast on next. And he was like, you can cast on a sweater for me. So I took that as a sign. And I had that one reserved for him. And neither of us really have the color. So swapped it out. Essentially, I feel like I've just done a trade. I destashed some, got some more in. And actually, I brought in 2 skeins less than what I previously had. So this destash works out in my favor. But we're planning to make, I am making, Shane picked the single malt sweater by Maxim's Year. That is what this is destined to become. And I just need a swatch for it. Other acquisitions that have come in is I got my Patron minis from a homespun house. I love the colors this month. I feel like I saved these because I feel like I should use them for like not heels, cuffs, and toes, and I should save them and make like a blanket or something. But I feel like I should just accept the fact that if this is like the perfect color, I should just use it as a heels, cuff, or toe. But this is on, I think it's a soft sock base. It's 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. They're all 10 grams. And the colors are Something Pretty, Puddle Jumper, which I know is the blue, and Hush Hush. I don't know which of these. I think this would be Something Pretty and this would be Hush Hush, but who knows. I could check on her website, but yeah, maybe I'll see what colors I have and maybe I'll make some like striped socks. Someone at a knit I went to was working on striped socks and they look so cute. So maybe that'll be like my next mindless project. And then the last acquisition I have is actually kind of a gift. Well, I won a giveaway. So, you know, all these Instagram accounts will do giveaways and you comment and you tag your friends, never thinking that you'll ever win. I won one. I won a Pearl Soho giveaway. So I won 4 skeins of their Sweetgrass base in my color choice. So I picked the color Walnut Shell. It's fingering weight and it's going to be a perfect summer top base. It's 65% organic cotton and superfine merino for the rest. It has a decent drape, not too much, but not too little. So I have 4 skeins of fingering weight, which should be plenty for a spring or summer top. And with the cotton, I think it's going to be so breathable and nice. So I'm thinking I'm either going to make the Surrey shirt by Kadri or the Moonset tee by Ozetta, because I wanted to make a Moonset tee in DK, and I was going to use like the sweater she has as DK and the t-shirt she has as fingering. So I don't know, we'll see. I think this is going to be a really pretty color. It's like a nice light brown. It's undyed, which is really, really Cool. I'm assuming most of the color is coming from the alpaca. But yeah, it's really pretty. I think it'll look really nice as a summer shirt. And it's not the softest thing in the world, but it's definitely soft. Like, I'm excited to work with this, and I can't believe I won a giveaway. So thank you so much, Pearl Soho. I'm excited to work with this and share with you guys what I think. They didn't like reach out to me to like send it to me because of the podcast. I was just a random winner from the giveaway. So yeah, that's this. It has a beautiful, beautiful heather. Oh, I'm so excited to use this. So swatches are in my future. I also want to start a ranunculus. I want to do that Surrey shirt. That Surrey shirt that has come out is beautiful. A moonset tee. Oh, there's so many spring shirts that are calling to me, and I just want to make more. So yeah, that's kind of all the Yarny and acquisition content, but I wanted to talk about some of the things that I've been reading because I've thought about sharing it before, and then I have kind of been in a reading slump, so I haven't shared very much, but I've been trying to read a bit more. On our drive down, Shane was kind of listening to music because he was driving, but music to me, I need something that will hold my focus a bit more. So I started reading or listening to, I got a library book and I started listening to this book by Sherry Lapina, Someone We Know. It's a thriller. I guess the plot twist at the end, so I felt very good about that, but it definitely kept my attention. I kept coming back to it, wanted to keep listening, and enjoyed the book. I've started listening to another audiobook by Sherry Lapina. This one I'm struggling a little bit more to get into. I was listening to it. It's Not a Happy Family. And both these recommendations are coming from after watching The Grocery Girls. And I was like, these are good thrillers. I should listen to these. I'm 20 minutes in. I feel like I've missed something, so I may start over. I was listening to it the other day when I was doing laundry and some cleaning, and my brain was definitely elsewhere. I missed something, so I'm going to restart it. But I love when authors get a good narrator, audiobook narrator. I don't know. It's very nice to listen to. And I just checked them out from my library, so they're free, and I'm not using my Audible credits. The other books that I've listened to or read, because I've been trying to read, but every book I've started recently, I just can't finish. I can't get sucked into it. Nothing is like calling me back to the books. Audiobooks are a little different because I can listen to them and knit or listen to them while I'm doing something else. But something about like physical reading books, I'm struggling with. So I am using one of the suggestions by one of my favorite booktubers, Allisonpaiges, and it's called graphic novels. So I've read 2 graphic novels that she's recommended, and it feels nice to just like feel accomplished. So I read the graphic novel called On a Sunbeam by Tille Walden. It was great. It's about like a futuristic world where everyone kind of lives in space, and it's goes between 2 different timelines of the girls met in high school and are dating, and then something happens to where they aren't together anymore, and then it goes to the one girl and she's not in school anymore and her job and kind of like how she's feeling about her job and working and like that lost love and searching for it. It's really, really good. And Tille Walden has this like watercolor, painterly, beautiful graphic novel style, and I really enjoyed reading it. It was one of those books that like I felt completely immersed in the world very, very quickly. And part of that is probably because it is a graphic novel. And like, I can't see mental images in my head, so seeing it physically on a page in front of me really helps engross me in a world, especially when I'm struggling. To like reading a book and I just can't get engrossed in it. The graphic novel, like the world is right there for me to get engrossed into. So then I read another Tille Walden book, and this is her Alone in Space collection. It's like all these different smaller comics that she's done from like in college or online, and it was really nice. I enjoyed it. It felt nice to just like kind of flip through, and it feels good to just get some, like, graphic novels go very quickly, so you can feel like you're making a lot of progress. If like finishing a book can kind of like build my momentum a little bit. So I finished 2 and I have some more books that I want to read. So Shane's been reading a lot more too, which is also helping me like be like, I should read more. I really should. And audiobooks are always a fallback, but I want some like physical book time. So we went to Barnes & Noble because there was a book he wanted to pick up that the library didn't have. We are big library people because I typically don't reread fiction. And so borrowing books from the library feels the most like economical way for me because I'm not going to reread them. I am more inclined to buy nonfiction because I feel like I'll go back and reference them again. But for fiction, when I want a physical book, the library is the place. Or I really like going to like used bookstores where you can take your old books and they give you credit and then you can buy books. I like that. But we went to Barnes & Noble because he wanted a specific book. And I've heard so much about this, so I picked it up. The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. And honestly, what got me is this is a young adult book. And so I thought, since I'm struggling to like pick up books, maybe a young adult book will be a little easier right now. And I've read 2 chapters and I've really enjoyed it so far. But what got me is this spine. The cover continues over the pages. So picked that up. I'm 2 chapters in. I'm actually on chapter 4. So it's been nice. I just need to make a little more time for my reading endeavors. Usually when I'm ready for bed is I'm so tired I don't want to read anymore. But this has been a nice world to kind of step into and see. And this book is supposed to be really good. And I'm excited to see what everyone's talking about with it. But yeah, that's basically all I've been reading. That's what I've been knitting. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was a longer one, but it's because I'm kind of switching back to that acquisitions here, and I have a lot of acquisitions this time through. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're able to work on something and have something comfy to drink. I hope you've put a little bit of love into every stitch you're knitting. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It helps us find other knitters. You'll get notified when I post future videos. If you'd like more behind the scenes, please think about joining the Patreon. We do community nights, Zoom nights. I do a weekly blog post. It's a fun time. And then, yeah, I will see you guys again in roughly 2 weeks. I hope you have something that you're working on. Please let me know down below what it is you worked on while you were watching this. And has spring sprung for you? Because it's not here yet. Or if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you're probably going into my favorite season, which is autumn. Let me know. Let me know what you guys are up to. I love reading your comments. And just thank you for spending time with me today. Honestly, the company that you guys provide and the fact that you spend a little bit of time with me means more than you can imagine, honestly. So, thank you as always. I will see you guys again very soon. Happy knitting.